Generals gathered in their masses, just like witches at black masses. This is a video about the brand new Homixide Gang album, i5u5we5. So yo, Homixide Gang got the new album last Friday. It came out, I listened to it, and I'm gonna talk about it here because I think Homixide Gang is a pretty cool act. They're part of Playboi Carti's Opium label, and they've been around for over 3 years now because they had an EP called Snotty World that came out in the spring of 2021, and I thought that was a really good EP. And then a year and a bit later, in the winter of 2022, they released a really good album called Homixide Lifestyle. But ever since then, in my opinion, they've been on a pretty big downturn, and sadly this is no different. This continues the trend of them getting worse over time ever since 2022, and that kind of sucks because I think they weren't great when they were really good, but they were really good. They were able to do something that was pretty interesting. It was deviating from what Playboi Carti was doing on Whole Lotta Red around the time that Ken Carson was doing that same thing. But as time goes on, they just get kind of more boring and kind of more just objectively less nuanced. So I feel really bad because I think they were able to make some pretty good stuff when they were really trying hard, because it almost really they're not trying as hard now. And I don't hate them by any stretch of the imagination. It's just I really lose faith in them very quickly when their albums come out, because there was a lot of ideas on this album that I think were not amazing or crazy interesting, but that were interesting, and they just kind of fell flat once they got there. Like the song Swanton Bomb has a beat switch in it, and that's pretty uncommon in Rage songs. Ken Carson has it a couple times in his discography. You listen to Run Plus Ran, you listen to Fighting My Demons, but a lot of times there's not a lot of those, and when Ken Carson did them, they were really good. But here, they're not so good. The one beat switch on this album, which is on the song Swanton Bomb, is just kind of executed poorly. The first beat is just... the first part's pretty mid, even though Bino's verse makes Michi's verse sound like, dirt, as it does a lot on this album. And then the beat switch comes on, and it's set up like it's supposed to be this really interesting thing. There's like this little audio clip of an airport, but then it just kind of falls flat. I was sitting there like, wow, is this supposed to be like, amazing? But it's just really weird. It's really boring when they try and do stuff like that. Or the song R50, which has a guitar-driven melody, which all the Opium copycats love to do these days. And the song isn't necessarily bad, I don't think. It's just really poorly done, and it's really berating to listen to. It's just not that interesting to me, but I feel like this is the type of song where it might sound better at a live show, which tends to be the case with a lot of this stuff. But I feel like all these songs wouldn't sound that good even at a live show, which is the environment that music like this is really supposed to be played in, I guess. But they even can't get that core thing through there on this album. On every Homixide Gang album, except for the first two, the biggest pitfall I've had with them is that the vocals have never sounded too interesting or too good to me. So it really just comes down to if I like the beat on the song, which is extremely 50-50. It's really a crapshoot for all these songs, because the vocals just aren't that great. They're not amazing vocalists, which is fine. I think Bino does a considerably better job than Michi on almost every song here. Like, he is actually a pretty good performer on songs like Omega or Figure 5, where Michi has not that much going for him on the song, but Bino has really captivating and emotional performances, especially on a song like Figure 5. Well, even though this song isn't really good, and the vocal sample throughout it is kind of weird and irritating, Bino has the last verse on here, and it sounds extremely emotional, uncharacteristically emotional for Homixide Gang, and it's good. Like, his verse is really good on there. I don't think Bino necessarily has any bad verses on this album. It's just that the beats and Michi's performances really, really drag him down. I think Bino could honestly work better as a solo artist on his own, doing the same kind of stuff, or even expand differently, because it feels like Bino is the one who has the better voice, particularly, but just ideas and emotion within his songs. And the biggest thing that isn't really a criticism of this album, and might make me a little biased, is that I've grown off the sound of Rage and really Atlanta-sounding trap in recent months, just because my taste has evolved. Like, a couple years ago, I used to absolutely love Whole Lotta Red. That was one of my favorite albums, and I still think it's good. I have it on vinyl right here, but I feel like it's grown off me a lot. I just can't fall in love with that sound anymore. And it just goes to show how kind of short-lived this kind of sound is. And I don't want to do that to kind of be a dick to anybody, because I think it's good that people make music, but I just think that sounds like this and really Atlanta sounding trap aren't transcendent as they could be, or have as much passion as them and other types of sounds that artists could be doing. Like on here, there's some songs that aren't even necessarily bad, they're just really, really irritating and annoying. Like Side Effect featuring Lil Yachty. It kind of sucked because Lil Yachty is not a bad artist at all. He had a really great album last year, obviously, but that was a much more psychedelic and album inspired by like Pink Floyd and Tame Impala. But he's gone back into his kind of rapping bag in the past year and a half, and he's featured on this Homixide Gang album, which seems kind of insane. But has songs with Cardi, you know what I mean? So it's not crazy, but this beat is irritating. It's produced by Filthy, who used to be good, but he just kind of sucks now. Ever since I heard like Wake Up Lucky, he's terrible. And this beat is really no different. The 808 on it really annoys the hell out of me. And Lil Yachty's verse doesn't really do it any favors. He's okay on it for a little bit, but it's not really coming back to me. I can't really think about it and want to listen to this again. Or the song Deathlock is also really annoying. The melody just pisses me off, and the rest of the song kind of follows suit. There's nothing interesting here. It's just really berating and ear-piercing kind of sounds. I think overall, Homixide Gang needs to just take more time with their releases so they can put more effort and have more ideas, I guess, more passion for what they're doing, because as I said, Homicide Lifestyle was their first album in over a year, and as many flaws as that album did have, it wasn't perfect. It was really good, and it had a lot of unique ideas. There were songs on there like Life and Lifestyle that were great, like literally great songs. Even today, even when I said it's growing off me, I still think those are really good songs. But this just feels like it needed more time in the oven. It came out only 7 months after their mixtape Fifth Amendment, which is not a short amount of time. It's a okay amount of time to make an album, but it's just clear that there wasn't enough here. There's not enough substance here. And even though the album's only 34 minutes, it dragged on for me. It felt like I was sitting here for like an hour listening to this, which it sounds hyperbolic, and it's probably a dick thing to say, but it really just felt unneeded, unwarranted. I really hope they can maybe find something to invigorate them and help make a really good album, and maybe make a comeback, maybe switch up their sound a bit, because they did switch it up a bit here from the last album, but it just wasn't that interesting. So I think this album is definitely a 4 out of 10. I think they just need to put some more work in.